Hello, I'm Chris Gestelot, a retired professor in urban social geography from the Catholic University of Leuven. And I lived for quite a long time in the Turkish neighborhood of Brussels, and that's why I can tell you a few things about ethnic entrepreneurship and the diversity and changes that took place in these activities. This map shows you the distribution of the Moroccans in Brussels. It's the people having the Moroccan nationality when they first registered in Belgium, and so quite some of them obtained the Belgian nationality meanwhile, but the map shows so the people with Moroccan origins in the city. And as you see, they are fairly concentrated in the western part of the city, and this gives much color to that area in Brussels, as this weekly market in Molenbeek shows. This is the distribution of sub-Saharan Africans in the city, and as you can see, they are much more dispersed than the Moroccans. This is related to the fact that they share the French language and to a certain extent also the Christian religion with most of the inhabitants of the city, and so they are much less dependent on their own group when they search for housing. Nevertheless, they have an important business center called Matonge. Matonge is the name of a famous neighborhood in Kinshasa, and so there is a little Matonge as well here in Brussels. It's a commercial center for all Central Africans from all over the city. And another interesting one is the West African car market in Curium, close to the canal, where second-hand cars from all over Europe are concentrated and then shipped to West Africa. And of course, there are lots of other activities that develop around this major one, the car market. Turks are very much concentrated in the northern part of the inner city of Brussels, and that is because they nearly all come from a single region in central Anatolia around a medium-sized town called Emirdağ. And they did so through chain migration, which means that some pioneers arrive in Brussels and then they call their family, relatives, and other people from their village to join because the demand for labor force at that time in Brussels was very high. So we can call this Little Turkey, and this is the neighborhood in which we will explore more about ethnic enterprises in Brussels. What do we mean by ethnic enterprise? Well, it's very simply a business that is set up by members of one of these ethnic minorities. This one is a barber, clearly with Moroccan origins, but as you can see, he has some ambition to go global, and this is quite interesting because it helps us to make differences between different types of businesses. So we can make differences on the basis of orientation. Do these business work for the ethnic group itself, or do they have indeed the ambition to go larger and also to serve the host societies in which they are embedded? And the other thing is motivation for enterprising. Is the impulse for doing so coming from the group itself, or is it a motivation that is related to the fact that the group is embedded in that host society and passed through a migration process? Let's take this jewelry shop in the Turkish neighborhood of Brussels, and it's interesting to compare it to a shop in Eskişehir. This is the large city that is close to the place of origin of the Turks of Brussels, and you see the display is exactly the same. So we have clearly something that is imported from the place of origin, And we also know that the customers will mainly be the people from the group itself. It's the jewelries are used as dowry for wedding, and this is a habit that does not exist among the Belgian population of the city. We will call such a business a ethnic niche. An ethnic niche is a type of enterprise where both the entrepreneurs and the customers are ethnic, and they sell goods and services just as in the region of origin, but of course because these goods are not available in the place in which they live today. These things in fact enable them to maintain as much as possible the same way of life in the place of origin. So you could see this as a kind of medicine against homesickness. We also have Moroccans in our neighborhood, and this Palais des Délices is a pastry shop that is selling Moroccan pastry. But as you can see, the shop is very much inviting for people that are not Moroccan at all, and this helps us to understand another type of ethnic business. We can call this exoticism. It's all about a movement to catch customers from outside the group by insisting on the exotic nature of the products and on their authentic nature. And not surprisingly, food and catering are the activity sectors in which such a strategy can most easily be developed. This travel agency is still another type of ethnic enterprise. It is clearly serving the Turkish population. It offers, as you can see, direct flights to Eskişehir here, which here operates as the gateway to reach Brussels. There is the airport with direct flights to our city, but also the place of arrival if they want to go back over there. And interestingly, a travel agency is also offering the security to find Islamic hotels in the places where our Turks travel. These type of enterprises create bridges and offer protection to the ethnic group. The main bridges connect the ethnic group with its region of origin. In fact, any ethnic neighborhood in a city is never a kind of isolated island in the city, but is strongly connected with the places of origin. And sometimes also with other places where the same group is present. For instance, Turks in Germany or Turks in Netherlands are connected with our Turks in Brussels. Protection concerns a series of activities that help to maintain the identity of the group that otherwise would slowly dissolve within a society that is very different. And so goods and services in this type of ethnic enterprise are special in the sense that they didn't exist in the place of origin before the migration process. What they do, in fact, is responding to needs that are created, that emerge through the migration process itself, as the travel agency shows. It's in fact all about circulation of people, but also of money, of goods and services, information between that place of origin and the present day situation in Brussels. And sometimes it's also about circulation between the group in Brussels and the broader host society in which they are. Translation offices are a very good example of that. This is a hairdressing salon, and it's not very exotic, and of course it's not related to the displacement of the population either, and so it is something different. It's also interesting to see that it announces its activities both in French here and there in Turkish, the same here. And something similar is this discount shop, you should pay attention to, well, it's open for everybody, but you should pay attention to the fact that it is advertising here a low price shop in Turkish, and that some of the brands here of tableware and housing decoration are Turkish firms. We can call this a non-ethnic activity, even if most of the customers come from the ethnic group. The point is that even if the entrepreneur and most of the customers are ethnic, the goods and services are not at all. They are not related to the migration process either. They look like an ethnic niche, but without any exotic potential. Nobody would search for these shops in order to enjoy any sort of Turkish authenticity. In fact, they mainly cater for the needs of the inhabitants of the neighborhood. The discount shops, for instance, refers to the fact that many people in the income live with low incomes. And the same role is played by second-hand shops or laundries. The latter will reflect the fact that many people lack the money, but also space in their house to buy their own washing machine. The last type of ethnic enterprises is well exemplified by this friterie, as mentioned here, and it sells the famous Belgian fries, as you can see here, but also hamburgers. So it's clearly not specialized in authentic Turkish food, but it sells the most common food in the city. Even it is mentioned that it is halal, and it also sells doner kebab. A strange example is this one. It's a Moroccan entrepreneurship that is selling halal Thai food. So it's combining Asian food with Moroccan origins, at least for the entrepreneur. And so what is at stake here is a kind of reverse exoticism as a strategy to find a niche in the market. We call this economic assimilation, where both the orientation and the motivation are related to the host society. So the relation with immigration and with one's own ethnicity are slowly disappearing. The only thing that remains ethnic is the entrepreneur himself. And what such an entrepreneur is trying to do is carving out a market niche thanks to the competitive advantages offered by his origin. Usually he can find relatively cheap labor force and other resources as well within his community, thanks to the strong social networks that were shaped by the migration process and by the concentration of the group in Brussels. And this happens in typical activity sectors and sometimes even create strong ethnic specializations, like, for instance, Pakistani night shops or Moroccan taxi drivers. This overview should also consider changes in ethnic enterprises over time. You can feel that when we went through the 4 different types, there is a kind of development moving from the ethnic niche towards economic assimilation, or more broadly from orientation towards the group to orientation to the whole society. But as a geographer, I would like to stress the fact that when orientation changes, you also get changes in the location of the enterprises. It's easy to understand that if they orient themselves towards the whole population of the city, the enterprises will tend to spread over the city. But you might also get the contrary, concentration in a single place, and the idea behind it is to maximize the number of customers that know the place and therefore go to it. That's the Chinatown model. You know that if you want to get good food in any large city of the world, you should search for its Chinatown. And so the Turks did the same by concentrating many of their restaurants in a single street of their neighborhood. You might go there and enjoy Turkish food, and afterwards explore the presence of the many other communities from all continents in the inner city of Brussels.